Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good wherever you are. I'm your host, That Lit Astro Chick, the channel where we discuss the natal charts of writers, artists, and anyone else that I find interesting. So, I'm going to hold on to the last part of my tagline for today because I wanted to talk about myself for a little bit. I do realize that when I started this channel that I mostly was going to talk about authors and their natal charts because I wanted to have a space where I could marry astrology and literary criticism and the arts because I'm very fond of both of those. And I do realize that in the astro world, this has now officially been old news because now we're talking about the asteroid Thema and how it's transitioned over into Pisces. But I wanted to share some of the thoughts that I've had, specifically when it goes on with transits and how that's affected my writing life as well as my personal life, because I just wanted to diversify some of the content that I offer on this channel. I've gone dark for a couple of weeks because right now I'm really working on a goal for my career to get a certification, and I failed the first exam attempt, so I have to go back and study and recalibrate. And I was doing all this when we were at the height of the Scorpio new moon. I know that I had spoken with some of my friends and they had said that they were terrified of this one, and I just said that there's really, nothing to worry about. But I did want to share my experiences with the new moon that just passed, and I might turn this into a series where I talk about other transits or other natal elements to discuss how we can deal with those and also how we can process them through our writing. So first I want to just discuss the Scorpio new moon. Scorpio represents the 8th house of the zodiac. So this is a house that deals with empowerment, transformation, resources. Scorpios are the managers of the zodiac because they're so tuned in to other people and what they're doing. And they're also very good at attracting in passive income. It's a very powerful sign to have, especially in your chart placements. It's going to speak a lot to what your willpower is, as well as what type of energy you can attract from other people. Like, I know that for my Scorpio risings, these are people that can tend to attract a lot of partnerships and collaborations because that's what Scorpio represents in the higher octaves. The downside, though, is that because it does represent those 8th house matters that are a little bit more seedy and shady, it also deals with the underbelly of society because it's represented by Pluto and then to a lesser extent Mars, because Mars was originally represented by Scorpio until we found Pluto. But it also just deals with a lot of great transformative elements that deal with the purging of sorts. It brings out the old in order to welcome into the new. And it's interesting to have had that full moon in Scorpio in the backdrop of Taurus. I know that each sign, they do have an opposing moon sign because of the new moons. But Taurus, it represents fertility. It represents abundance, possessions, beauty, art. All of those things are represented by Taurus because Taurus deals with the second house matters of values. And to have those as opposing signs, it could represent more of an expression around values or an expression around what values do we need to purge, what ideas or possessions do we need to let go of, because Taurus is all about gathering what is in abundance. It deals with the physical reality, whereas Scorpio, it represents the underground activity, all of the things that we may not necessarily want to talk about. It represents power struggles and like I said before, purges. So the way that I navigated the new moon is to look at where Scorpio is located in my chart. So I am a Leo rising, and that puts Scorpio in my 4th house, which deals with the past. It deals with it deals with houses, so like actual real estate, family matters. My South Node is also located in my 4th house as well. And I took that time to really reevaluate how did I feel about the past, because, and I don't want to get too personal here, but I've had a really difficult year like a really difficult couple of years, but difficult in a way that I'm not really used to. So, most of my life, I have been someone where I have just had to put out a lot of different fires. I am someone where I used to bounce around from like job to job, location to location, and it felt like it was a good day if I knew I wasn't going to be fired, or it felt like it was a good day when I knew that I could pay my rent on time and I just had a little bit of money left over for like disposable income. Like my first job out of college, I was technically speaking a volunteer because my pay was so low, but I still remember fondly the times when it was Friday night and I used to literally like dig change out of like the couch cushions. So dig out the change from my backpack and the change that was in my room plus the couch that had like the change that like my roommates had kind of left behind. And it used to bring me joy when I had exactly $8.68 because that meant that I finally had enough money to go to the local wretched Chinese food shop. And sidebar, wretched Chinese food, it is like the best food ever. I know it's MSG. I know it's supposed to be bad for you, but it is so wonderful. But anyway, back to what I was saying. It used to give me joy to have like that 868 or like that 870 or like those $9 just to be able to walk 6 blocks to get wretched Chinese food and then come back, pop it in the microwave, and then like go straight to my room and like read something. And I think that those memories, they stand out to me because it felt like, despite the chaos that I had had going on in my life at that time, some of it I would say was systemic. Others, a lot of it I would say was actually self-imposed by a lot of the the romantic drama and like the friend drama that I used to get myself involved in. And those were moments when I had like that rare peace of mind. That is a type of chaos that I'm used to enduring in some way. And I think that I was at the very least decent at it because I have a Scorpio Mars. But the drama that I've dealt with over the past couple years, it's been a little bit different. It's been higher stakes. And I think that that's because now at my big age, I've finally been able to keep a job and an apartment for a decent amount of time. And I've now kind of moved on into other elements of my life to think about whatever it is that I want to complete, because there is more to life to me than just having a job and an apartment. And I think that because of these past couple years, they've just been really difficult. Current Saturn is transiting through my eighth house, and unfortunately, I've had to deal with a lot of people who and some of these were people that like I was close to, and then others were people where like my relationship with them is complicated because, like I said, South Node in the fourth house, my relationship with my family is really complicated. I tend to take a lot of L's with them. And to know that these people, they started to transition, if you know what I mean. I don't know if we can say the word on YouTube. And what that has forced me to do is to reevaluate what it is that I'm holding on to and what it is that I need to let go of. And that has been an incredibly painful process that I wrote about when it came to this, the past Scorpio new moon, especially in the backdrop of spring. What were some things that I needed to let go of? And I was surprised at some of the answers that I came up with. One of them was needing to let go of the past. And when I say past, I mean holding on to a torch, or with this assumption that if I just stay in the house, then nothing bad can happen to me, because I have a really bad aversion to discomfort of any sorts. Like, and this is going to sound so petty, but it tends to crush me if somebody is very loud with saying, "Oh, I don't like you." Probably because I'm a Leo sun. I want everybody to like me, and that's something that I need to get over. But it's like in my head, I'll just assume that if I just like stay in the house, then nothing bad can happen to me. And the problem though is that I've realized, especially over this new moon and with the months that have, preceded before that, is that while these were people who I knew for a long time, they weren't necessarily people who had my best interest at heart. And usually they could still reach out to me, and it was, it tended to be through like rather like private private methods. So like I ended up oftentimes being like the person in people's lives where they may not want to take a picture with me, but then they'll end up like talking to me behind the scenes about what's going on in their lives and what's important to them and their values and how nobody's ever understood them before like this. Bleh. And it took me, I guess, writing about those past situations to see that like those people were using me. So essentially, me staying in the house and I'd say in some ways adopting more of a Peter Pan syndrome. I don't know if there's like a female version of that, maybe Tinkerbell. And to adopt that meant then that I wasn't going to be able to encounter anything else where I could actually allow something light to come into my life. It was filled with so much darkness and doom and despair. And then I had friends like this in the past where I was the person that they would talk to, like if their man gave them an STD or if they were having a bad day at work, like I was the person that they would come to for comfort and support. But the issue that I start to notice over time is that they would end up flipping it back and saying like, oh, you're being negative. You're so negative. Funny because Scorpio also deals with negativity oftentimes. Scorpio in its lower octaves, it deals with people, or no, sorry, not people, but things that can be very vengeful, very hateful because it entraps things. And at first I couldn't understand why they were saying that. And then it took me journaling about it to realize, oh, I know exactly why they're saying this. They're saying this because what they have projected onto me is something negative and they want to get away from it. But instead of just saying, well, yeah, I know I talked to you about how like my dog died or like my man cheated, it was much easier to push me away because I functioned as a projection of it. And the reason as to why I function as a projection is because I was staying in the house. I was really easy for people to find. And I I think when it comes to that wisdom and that strength that's in Scorpio, it's to realize that you have to be more comfortable with endings. And that has been something that I've really struggled with, especially when it comes to my writing. With writing in a particular way, writing for a specific group of people, writing in a way that is supposed to be seen as being more palatable and more mainstream in the literary community, and kind of realizing that it hinders me in some way. Like, I don't always want to do that in the same way this time. I actually just finished submitting an application for a writer's workshop where I discussed that in my personal statement, how I feel like when it came to my education, I kind of OD'd on writing. And what I'm looking for is an opportunity to have an unlearning or an unraveling of sorts in order to get to the next stage of my life, my writing life, because I feel stuck. I feel like I'm kind of like writing the same things with the same pieces, and I can't answer the question that I really want, which is like what makes Black women special. I didn't know the answer to that. But that's also been requiring, well, what is it then that I'm willing to let go of to let this light into my life, to kind of let this Taurian energy into my life. And I would say that for me, that's meant letting go of the idea that just because someone has been in your life or in your orbit, I should say, for a long time, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're meant to be for you or that they are good for you at the time in the season that you two are coming together. Also, to pay more attention to what is it that people reach out to me for. Like, is it to reach out for something that could be lighthearted and could be fun? And I have a lot of challenges around this because I was raised to assume that everything in life should be a struggle. Everything has to be a struggle. And if you just want something fun, you're being shallow. But are they attaching to you for that, or are they attaching to you for the more tragic parts of their lives? And if that's all it is, then to realize that I do have that power, because Scorpio deals with empowerment, to accept or reject that offer. And I didn't want to come on and make a post while this was happening, because it just kind of felt like, because of like some other things going on in my life, which I might share in a story time. Writing about it at that time, I think that I would have had more of a jaundiced perspective, especially because of the transits that are going on with Mars and Neptune. But yeah, I feel like what I've been really scared of, especially for like the past 6 months, has been with accepting endings, has been with letting things go. And I mean like letting things go that have been very near and dear to me. Like last fall, I ended my friendship with my best friend, and that was so hard. That might be a story time. But now I think it's like, because I have ended those things, now I'm starting to at least see a little bit more of the new opportunities that are going to be coming in. So I think that concludes my thoughts on the Scorpio new moon. Please leave me a comment and let me know what you think. I will come back into another author's natal chart either tomorrow or on Saturday. But yeah, I just wanted to try to do something a little bit different, because I know I'm always talking about other people and I don't really talk about myself on this channel. But yeah, this now concludes my Scorpio new moon thoughts. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you for the next video.